Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want to talk to you about something that so many of us have experienced but rarely prepare for: the emotional roller coaster that comes before someone tries to come back into your life. That moment when the person who once left, ghosted, or undervalued you suddenly reappears. And it's tempting to believe this is the sign you've been waiting for. But I want to challenge that instinct and help you understand what always happens before they return, and more importantly, how to reclaim your power, rebuild your self-worth, and protect your peace. When they do, let's get into it. You know what's interesting? After a breakup, after the dust has settled, and you finally start to breathe again, they come back, It's like clockwork. Maybe it's a text out of nowhere, a comment on your story, or something seemingly innocent like, "Hey, how have you been?" And suddenly your heart jumps. You think, "Oh my God, he's thinking about me." And yes, he probably is. But here's the part that messes with our heads. Just because he's come back doesn't mean it's meant to be. That feeling of validation, that rush you get when someone who hurt you suddenly wants to re-enter your life. That's the part we have to be really honest about. Because the truth is, they almost always come back. But that's not the win. The win isn't getting the text. It isn't proving that you were good enough for him to miss. That's the bare minimum. That's biology. That's loneliness. That's ego. That's not love. We mistake a man's return for some sort of cosmic sign that maybe it was all supposed to happen the way it did. We romanticize it. He had to lose me to realize what he had. And sure, maybe he did realize it, but the question isn't whether he came back. The question is, what did he actually come back for? Because showing up is easy. You can miss someone and still not be capable of loving them the right way. You can regret something and still not be willing to change. People don't always come back because they've grown. Sometimes they come back because they feel lonely, or they can't find your energy anywhere else, or because they want reassurance that you'd still take them back if they needed you. That's not love. That's comfort. That's familiarity. That's knowing you'll pick up when they call. And if you do, they get to feel like they still matter to you, without ever having to earn their place again. And this is where your power lies, in knowing that their return is not your proof of worth. It was never proof you needed. You were enough the entire time. You didn't become worthy the moment he texted again. You didn't suddenly become attractive, valuable, lovable just because he noticed your absence. You were all those things, even while he walked away, even while he chose someone else, even when he didn't fight for you. That's the hard truth, right? We're taught that if someone comes back, it must mean something profound. And sometimes it does, but more often it's just noise. It's the echo of unfinished business. It's someone realizing too late what they lost, but still not ready to handle it with the care and consistency it deserves. So when he comes back, I want you to take a breath, not because it means everything is falling into place, but because you need space to ask yourself the real questions. Does this person deserve the version of me I've become since he left? Does he even know what it took for me to put myself back together again? Because you've done work, you've cried, you've grown, you've reconnected with friends, you've rebuilt your routines. You've started to hear your own voice again after it was drowned out by confusion, doubt, and longing. That version of you, the one who's healing, that's the version you protect now. We don't rise from heartbreak just to entertain the same energy that broke us. That's not growth. That's repetition. And if he can't come back with humility, with clarity, with actions, not just words, then he's not coming back for you. He's coming back for himself, to ease his guilt, to feel something familiar, to see if the door is still open. But that door should be guarded by the person you've become. The one who knows that silence is strength, that peace is more important than potential, and that love doesn't beg for entry, it shows up ready. Not perfect, but present, not afraid, but honest. So yes, he might come back, but that doesn't mean you should say yes. Let his return be a footnote in your story, not the plot twist that derails your progress. He had his chance. And now, it's your turn to choose. Asterisk, the real power isn't in being wanted again. It's in knowing you don't need to be. Asterisk, let's talk about something that happens right after a breakup, especially when you still care about the person. There's this moment where your entire motivation shifts. You start hitting the gym more, you post better photos, maybe you go out more, look happier, even though you're barely holding it together inside. And whether you admit it or not, part of you is doing it hoping he'll see. Hoping he'll scroll past your story and feel something. Regret, longing, jealousy, anything that proves you mattered, that he lost something valuable, and it's normal. It's so human to want to be seen, to want the person who walked away, or worse, the one who faded without explanation, to feel the weight of your absence, to realize you were, in fact, a prize, that they had someone amazing and let it slip through their hands. But here's the trap. When your glow-up becomes about proving something to someone else, you're still living in response to them. You're not free yet. You're just performing. You're turning your life into a stage and hoping he's still in the audience. And that means he still has power over you. I know how tempting it is to want him to regret losing you. To want him to see your progress, your beauty, your strength, and think, damn, I messed up. But what if you stopped making him your motivation? What if the glow-up wasn't about getting his attention or anyone else's, but about actually becoming the version of yourself that you respect and admire? Because when you do it for someone else, it's exhausting. You're chasing a reaction, and when you don't get that reaction, or when you do and it's empty or temporary, you feel deflated. Like all that effort wasn't worth it. But when you do it for everything changes. Your peace doesn't depend on whether he looks at your story. Your confidence isn't hanging on whether he texts you again. You wake up every day with a sense of purpose, not just to prove your value to the world, but because you know your value. That's where real transformation begins. Not when you're trying to get his attention, but when you stop caring if he's paying attention at all. And here's the part people don't talk about enough. The version of you that's chasing his validation will never feel like enough. Because validation is a drug. It feels good in the moment, but it doesn't last. You post something, he likes it, you feel that hit of dopamine, and then it fades. Then you want more. Then you're back to wondering if he's thinking about you, if he misses you, if he's talking to someone else. That's not healing. That's dependency disguised as strength. So what if your glow-up wasn't loud? What if it wasn't something you needed to broadcast? What if it was quiet, powerful, steady, something that happens deep inside you? You start sleeping better. You start spending time with people who bring peace into your life. You pick up the book you've been meaning to read. You go for a walk without music, just to be alone with your thoughts. You start saying no to people who drain your energy. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't deserve your truth. That kind of glow up. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need to be seen, And ironically, that's when people notice, not because you're shouting, but because you're asterisk radiating asterisk. Because you're becoming someone who doesn't need attention to feel powerful. And if he comes back and sees it, great, let him see what he lost. Let him see the woman who didn't fall apart waiting for him to realize her worth. But don't let that be the reason you changed. Let it be the byproduct, not the goal. Because when your progress is rooted in self-respect, it lasts. It holds up even when no one's watching, even when he never comes back, even when the apology never arrives. That's the kind of strength that can't be taken away. That's the kind of glow that can't be dimmed. You're not rebuilding your life to make someone miss you. You're rebuilding it because you finally remembered who you are. Asterisk asterisk. And that's the kind of transformation no one can ignore even if they're too late to deserve it. Asterisk asterisk. There's something you really need to hear if you keep letting the same kind of person back into your life for the same reasons in the same way. It's not an accident anymore, it's a pattern, and patterns don't just break themselves. You have to make a conscious choice to interrupt them, because otherwise this asterisk will asterisk always happen. You'll do the hard work to move on, to heal, to finally start feeling like yourself again, and then right when you're almost at peace, he comes back. And you think maybe this time it's different, but here's the truth. It's not different just because it's later. It's not different just because he says he misses you. Time passing doesn't equal growth. Missing you doesn't mean he's ready to treat you right. And wanting you back isn't the same thing as being ready to love you the way you deserve. This is the cycle so many people get trapped in. You pull away, you get stronger, and the second they feel that shift, when they can sense they're no longer the center of your world, they reappear. Suddenly, they're sweet again. They remember everything they used to love about you. They talk about how much they've changed, how much they've been thinking, how much they miss what you had. And in that vulnerable moment, it's tempting, because deep down, you never stopped wanting to hear those things. But that's exactly why it's dangerous, because you're not hearing those words from someone new. You're hearing them from the same person who's already shown you what they're capable of. The same person who couldn't show up before. The same person who didn't fight for you when they had the chance. And if nothing has really changed, all you're doing is stepping back into the exact same story with a new cover. If you don't take a hard look at why you're saying yes again, why you're answering that message, or letting that door swing open, then you'll keep repeating the pattern. And each time it takes a little more from you. It chips away at your self-respect, your peace, your progress. You start to doubt yourself. Maybe I overreacted last time. Maybe I didn't give him enough credit. Maybe it asterisk could asterisk work now. But what if the real question is, asterisk, has anything fundamentally changed? Or am I just hoping it has? Asterisk, because the pattern isn't just about him. It's also about you. It's about the part of you that still wants to be chosen by the person who once made you feel unworthy. The part of you that wants the happy ending, even if it comes with all the same pain. But growth doesn't look like going in circles. It looks like saying, I've seen this before, and I know where it leads. That's not bitterness, that's wisdom. You can love someone and still walk away. You can miss someone and still know they're not right for you. And you can forgive someone without ever letting them back into your life. That's what breaking the pattern looks like. It's learning to trust what your past self had the courage to do. To leave, to protect yourself, to choose peace over chaos. And when you're tempted to go back, you don't shame yourself. You just pause, you breathe, you ask, what has asterisk actually asterisk changed? If the answer is nothing, then you already know what you need to do. It's not easy, but the alternative is continuing to hurt yourself by pretending things are different when they're not. You'll keep ending up in the same place, wondering why it keeps happening. And the truth is, it keeps happening because you're not interrupting the pattern. You're giving it fuel every time you say yes to something that already proved it wasn't enough. So start paying attention to the signs. The moment you feel that familiar pull, that maybe this time, that sudden shift in his behavior when you're finally pulling away, pause. Not every reconnection is a sign of growth. Sometimes it's just the universe checking if you've really learned the lesson. And this time, you don't have to fail the test. You're not hard to love. You're not asking for too much. You're just finally refusing to settle for a connection that keeps asking you to shrink in order to make it work. And that refusal, that's your power. That's how the cycle ends. Asterisk asterisk, because nothing changes until you do. And when you do, everything changes. Asterisk asterisk. One of the hardest truths to accept after a breakup is this: your value didn't disappear just because someone failed to see it. And even harder, your value doesn't magically return just because they come back. The moment he left, or distanced himself, or stopped showing up for you, you didn't suddenly become less lovable. But when you're hurting, it's so easy to believe that if he had stayed, if he had chosen you again, asterisk, then asterisk, you would have been enough. That asterisk, then asterisk, you could have felt worthy. That mindset is dangerous because it puts your entire sense of self-worth in someone else's hands. It gives someone else the power to decide if you're valuable, and when you're doing that, you're not living for asterisk, you asterisk anymore. You're waiting to be picked. You're waiting for someone to come back and give you the closure, the validation, the reassurance that you mattered. But the truth is, if you're waiting for a man to make you feel worthy again, you're going to be waiting a long time. He's not your confirmation, his return, his regret, his apology. That's not where your value comes from. That's just a reaction to your absence. That's him realizing that he lost something, but that realization doesn't change who you've been all along. You were enough even when he walked away. You were enough when he stopped texting back. You were enough when he couldn't love you the way you needed. He just couldn't see it, or he wasn't ready to rise to it. That's not on you. You are not someone to be rediscovered only when he's lonely. You are not a backup plan for when everything else falls apart in his life. You are not a memory he gets to relive when it's convenient for him. And the second you start seeing yourself as someone who deserves to be chosen asterisk, the first time asterisk, everything starts to shift. You stop living your life hoping someone circles back. You stop checking your phone for that message. You stop wondering if maybe, just maybe, this time he's ready. Because here's the thing. Love that's right doesn't require you to lose yourself first. It doesn't require you to wait in silence, proving your loyalty through absence. The right person won't need to walk away and come back just to figure out that you were worth it. They'll know, they'll act like they know, and you won't have to beg them to remember. I know that deep down, a part of you wants to believe that if he does come back, it means he's changed. That he's realized you're the one, that all the pain had a purpose. But I need you to hear this. Even if he does come back, it still doesn't change your worth. Because your worth was asterisk, never missing asterisk. It was always there. It just wasn't being seen or honored by someone who had the capacity to treat it with care. We confuse someone's absence with a lack of value. We think, if I had been more, done more, said less, been different, maybe he would have stayed. But it's not about being more. It's about being seen clearly and loved properly by someone capable of meeting you where you are. And if he couldn't do that before, and nothing has fundamentally changed, then his return doesn't fix the wound. It just reopens it. You have the right to say no to something that once made you question your own worth. You have the right to say, I'm not who I was when you left. I've grown, I've healed, I've learned how to love myself in a way I never did when I was with you. That's not arrogance. That's not bitterness. That's clarity. That's maturity. That's self-respect. This journey isn't about getting him to come back. It's about you coming back to yourself, the version of you that stopped waiting to be chosen, the version of you that doesn't accept crumbs just because she used to be starving, the version of you who finally believes that love should feel safe, steady, and mutual, not like a battle you have to win. And if he does come back and you've truly done the work, you won't feel desperate to say yes. You'll evaluate, not react. You'll ask, does this align with who I've become? Instead of, can I finally feel enough? Because you already are . You were never missing anything. You were just waiting for your reflection to match your reality. And now that it does, you don't need to be picked. You get to choose. There's something we don't talk about enough after a breakup, especially when you're deep in your healing, the space he left behind, not just the physical space in your life, but the mental space, the space in your head where you used to imagine your future together, the space in your heart where your hopes used to live. That space can feel unbearably empty at times. And in those moments, it's so easy to want to fill it with him again, even if he's not the right person. Even if deep down you know the connection was one-sided, confusing, or even painful, the hardest part isn't always letting go of someone who hurt you. Sometimes the hardest part is letting go of the idea of him. The potential you saw, the future you imagined, the version of him that only existed in your hopes. That version, the one you clung to in the good moments, the one who smiled at you like you were his world when things felt right. That's the version you miss. And that's what makes it so hard when he reaches out again, because you're not just talking to the man who left or who disappointed you. You're talking to the version of him you wished he could be. And that's where it gets dangerous, because in the absence of real, consistent change, you start filling in the blanks with your imagination. You rewrite the past in your mind. You forget how often you felt anxious, how many times you questioned yourself, how much you overextended to make it work. And instead, you replay the highlights, the potential, the what-ifs. That kind of nostalgia can trick you. It can make you think something was beautiful when really it was just familiar, but familiar isn't the same as good. It's not the same as safe, and it's definitely not the same as love when he comes back, and he will, because this always happens. He might trigger all those old feelings. He might remind you of everything you missed, but you have to be stronger than the memory. You have to be grounded in what you know not what you wish . Because the real healing, it happens in the space where you don't fill the silence with him. It happens when you resist the urge to go backwards just because the present still feels uncertain. It happens when you choose discomfort now over disappointment later. That's the real test of growth. Can you sit in the quiet and not go chasing the thing that used to soothe you even when you know it wasn't right? We romanticize reconnection. We want to believe it means something, that the pain was worth it, that he finally asterisk realized what he lost. But the truth is, sometimes the person who returns is still not the person you needed. Sometimes they come back to see if they still have a place, not because they're ready to build something better. And that's why it's so important to create a new standard for yourself, not based on what he's willing to give now, but based on what you know you need going forward. That standard has to come from within you, not from his apology, his message, or his sudden desire to talk again. Because if you don't redefine your standard, you'll keep accepting less than you deserve just because it asterisk feels asterisk familiar. You have to remember everything you've learned since he left, every moment you felt stronger, every time you honored your boundaries, every day you woke up and chose yourself, even when it hurt. That progress matters. It's not erased just because he reaches out. And if anything, his return should be a moment of clarity, not temptation, a reminder of why you walked away, a reflection of how far you've come. You're not trying to fill a space anymore. You're learning to asterisk be asterisk whole, to build a life that doesn't depend on his presence or his approval or his recognition. And the right person, when they come, won't just want to occupy a space. They'll asterisk earn asterisk it. They'll show up consistently. They'll add peace to your life, not confusion, and you won't have to question it. So if he comes back, don't rush to answer. Don't rush to forgive or to relive the good memories. Take your time. Hold your standard, because you're not in the business of giving old energy new chances anymore. You've changed. You've grown, and the space he left behind, it's not empty, it's sacred now. Asterisk asterisk, and not everyone gets to come back and sit where healing finally began. Asterisk asterisk, there's something we don't talk about enough after a breakup, especially when you're deep in your healing, the space he left behind, not just the physical space in your life, but the mental space, the space in your head where you used to imagine your future together, the space in your heart where your hopes used to live. That space can feel unbearably empty at times. And in those moments, it's so easy to want to fill it with asterisk him asterisk again, even if he's not the right person. Even if deep down you know the connection was one-sided, confusing, or even painful, the hardest part isn't always letting go of someone who hurt you. Sometimes the hardest part is letting go of the asterisk idea asterisk of him. The potential you saw, the future you imagined, the version of him that only existed in your hopes. That version, the one you clung to in the good moments, the one who smiled at you like you were his world when things felt right. That's the version you miss. And that's what makes it so hard when he reaches out again, because you're not just talking to the man who left or who disappointed you. You're talking to the version of him you wished he could be. And that's where it gets dangerous, because in the absence of real, consistent change, you start filling in the blanks with your imagination. You rewrite the past in your mind. You forget how often you felt anxious, how many times you questioned yourself, how much you overextended to make it work. And instead, you replay the highlights, the potential, the what-ifs. That kind of nostalgia can trick you. It can make you think something was beautiful when really it was just asterisk familiar asterisk. But familiar isn't the same as good. It's not the same as safe, and it's definitely not the same as love. When he comes back, and he will, because this always happens, he might trigger all those old feelings. He might remind you of everything you missed, but you have to be stronger than the memory. You have to be grounded in what you asterisk know asterisk, not what you asterisk wish asterisk. Because the real healing, it happens in the space where you don't fill the silence with him. It happens when you resist the urge to go backwards just because the present still feels uncertain. It happens when you choose discomfort now over disappointment later. That's the real test of growth. Can you sit in the quiet and not go chasing the thing that used to soothe you, even when you know it wasn't right? We romanticize reconnection. We want to believe it means something, that the pain was worth it, that he finally realized what he lost. But the truth is, sometimes the person who returns is still not the person you needed. Sometimes they come back to see if they still have a place, not because they're ready to build something better. And that's why it's so important to create a new standard for yourself, not based on what he's willing to give now, but based on what you know you need going forward. That standard has to come from within you, not from his apology, his message, or his sudden desire to talk again. Because if you don't redefine your standard, you'll keep accepting less than you deserve just because it feels familiar. You have to remember everything you've learned since he left, every moment you felt stronger, every time you honored your boundaries, every day you woke up and chose yourself even when it hurt. That progress matters. It's not erased just because he reaches out. And if anything, his return should be a moment of clarity, not temptation, a reminder of why you walked away, a reflection of how far you've come. You're not trying to fill a space anymore. You're learning to be whole, to build a life that doesn't depend on his presence or his approval or his recognition. And the right person, when they come, won't just want to occupy a space. They'll earn it. They'll show up consistently. They'll add peace to your life, not confusion, and you won't have to question it. So if he comes back, don't rush to answer. Don't rush to forgive or to relive the good memories. Take your time. Hold your standard, because you're not in the business of giving old energy new chances anymore. You've changed. You've grown, and the space he left behind, it's not empty. It's sacred now. And not everyone gets to come back and sit where healing finally began. Let's talk about the moment he finally comes back. The one you imagined, sometimes even prayed for, during the lonely nights when your heart still ached and your mind was full of questions. That moment where your phone lights up with his name, or he sends that message, or maybe he even says the words you thought you'd never hear: "I miss you, I made a mistake." And for a second, your heart skips, because deep down, you once believed that if he ever realized what he lost, things would feel complete. It would all somehow make sense. The pain, the silence, the confusion, it would be justified by this one moment of him coming back. But here's what you need to understand about that moment. Just because someone returns doesn't mean they're right for where you are now. He's coming back to the version of you he remembers, the version who gave more than she received, who stayed when she should have walked away, who lowered her needs to keep the peace, who waited silently hoping he'd wake up and get it. But you're not her anymore. And that's the part he doesn't realize yet. He thinks he can return to the same dynamic, the same access, the same warmth, the same emotional availability he once had. But something shifted. You did the work. You peeled back the layers of pain, you sat with the discomfort, and you built something inside of you that he never helped build. Self-respect. Now, when he returns, you no longer need his words to feel whole. You're not starving for his validation the way you once were. You may still care, you may still feel something, but you're not available in the same way anymore. You're not standing in the same place he left you, and that's what confuses him. He expects the door to still be unlocked. He expects to walk back in and find the same softness, the same heart, the same version of you waiting. But healing changed you. Healing made you more protective of your energy. Healing helped you realize that love isn't about who comes back. It's about who shows up asterisk and stays asterisk when it matters. We think the moment someone regrets losing us is the closure we need, but often it's not closure, it's a test of whether we truly believe in the growth we've worked so hard for, whether we'll trade peace for a familiar chaos, whether we'll abandon our new boundaries for old emotions. And that test, it's not about punishing them or proving a point. It's about proving something to asterisk yourself asterisk. You deserve someone who doesn't just regret losing you, but who asterisk values asterisk keeping you. Someone who doesn't wait until you're silenced to realize your worth. Someone who doesn't need to lose you to see clearly. And yes, maybe he's changed. Maybe he's had time to reflect. Maybe his words are sincere, but real change isn't proven by a comeback. It's proven by consistency, by accountability, by action over time. You're allowed to feel everything in that moment: curiosity, sadness, hope, anger. You're allowed to miss him. You're allowed to wonder what could have been, but you're also allowed to say, I've moved on, even if it's hard, even if you once wanted nothing more than for him to return, because now you've got something far more valuable than his attention. You have your own back. You have the wisdom of experience. You have the strength that came from picking yourself up when he wasn't there. And that strength, it's not easily shaken anymore. You've built something too sacred to trade for a rerun of a story you've already read, especially when you now know how it ends. Sometimes closure isn't a conversation or a reunion. It's the quiet confidence of knowing you no longer need either to be okay. Sometimes healing is simply not answering the door he used to walk through like it belonged to him. And sometimes growth is looking at the very thing you used to crave and no longer wanting it the same way. That's how you know you've evolved. That's how you know the chapter is truly closed. Asterisk, asterisk, because when you become the version of yourself who no longer needs them to come back, that's when you finally win. Asterisk, asterisk.